Hello, welcome to The Kitchen Chemist. I'm your boy, amateur pro home chef Nathanael Levinson, and we're making dumplings. It's live. All right, today we're gonna be making pierogis. This is a Polish dumpling, typically filled with potatoes and cheese and all sorts of things, served with sour cream. Very nice, very easy to make, and they can be vegetarian. For pierogis, you're going to need some potatoes. I'm using russet potatoes. Cheese of your choice. I'm using sharp cheddar cheese, onion, garlic, and for the dough, you'll need flour, milk, and butter, and salt. So for the filling, we're going to be using russet potatoes, your classic baking potato. These are nice and starchy and will provide a good canvas for us to work with. So we're just gonna plonk these in a pot of cold water, bring it to a boil, let them cook for 20 to 30 minutes until they're fork tender. Then we're gonna pull them out. All right, so now we're gonna get our pierogi dough together. So in our mixer bowl, we're gonna combine 3 cups of flour with 2 teaspoons of salt. We're gonna put that in our mixer. Got a fancy new space age mixture, it goes up and down. And to that, we're gonna add a ½ cup of milk and then about a ½ cup of water. So we're gonna add all the milk and then a ½ cup of water plus whatever we need for the dough to come together. So we're gonna add the water slowly, keep it on the dough when it's the consistency we want. We're gonna stop kneading, okay? We're looking for a dough that's fairly firm, but not sticking to the sides, right? We don't want it clumpy, but we don't want a particularly soft dough. So we'll add in our milk. Add in some of our water and hold some back just in case. We're gonna see how much water it takes. It'll differ depending on the humidity and the type of flour you're using. So this one, play by ear, but usually ½ cup to 3/4 of a cup should be sufficient. You see our dough starting to get a little shaggy. It's good. I'm gonna add just a little bit more water. Keep in mind, the water takes time to hydrate the flour, so the dough will soak up more. It'll soak up more than you think it does. You're just gonna add water a little bit at a time until the dough comes together. So you should get a nice tight dough that doesn't stick to anything. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll this into a rough ball. We're gonna cover it in plastic wrap and we're gonna let it rest for 30 minutes. All right, so now our potatoes are cooked. We've drained them off, we've let them dry, and now we're ready, and they're cool enough to handle, so now we're ready to put our pierogi filling together. So if we boil the potatoes with the skins on, you could peel them beforehand, but if you boil them with the skins on, the skins should just pull right off. So we're just gonna pull off all the skins and get all our potatoes in the bowl. So now we're just gonna mash these potatoes. Now, you don't wanna overwork the potatoes or they're gonna get gluey, so we just kinda wanna mash them until they're in pieces. Then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. So, we're going to add about a cup of shredded cheese of your choice. I'm just using sharp cheddar, but any kind of good melting cheese, Gouda, mozzarella, and whatever you want is in here. An onion that's either been grated or finely diced. A teaspoon of celery salt. A teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper. A teaspoon of garlic powder. And a teaspoon of roasted garlic. To roast garlic, you just take a whole head of garlic, put a little bit of oil on it, wrap it in tin foil, and throw it in a 350-degree oven for an hour, hour and a half. And then just peel the cloves or squish them, and you get this wonderful deep, sweet garlic flavor. So now we're gonna stir to combine. If you're having trouble combining, you can add a little bit of fat, either some olive oil or some melted butter, but we should be fine here. Just wanna stir until everything gets thoroughly combined. Again, we're gonna do as little working of the potato as possible to keep it fluffy, because starchy potatoes like this, if you overwork them, they get gummy, and that's not super pleasant. So we just wanna stir, kind of fold everything over until everything is incorporated. It smells amazing. And then, since everything here is cooked, we can actually taste it and see how we're doing. Decide if we need more salt, more pepper. That's perfect. Ooh-hoo. Too early to be celebrating, Greg. Stop it. But that's gonna be a tasty pierogi. Okay. So we're gonna set this aside and till we're ready to roll out our dough. All right, now it's time to roll out our dough and get our pierogis together. This is the most labor-intensive part, but remember, once you've done this, you can freeze the pierogis and they'll keep pretty much indefinitely in the same condition as they would be fresh. You just boil them a little bit longer. So when we're doing dumplings, make them in bulk, save some for later, pull them out on a rainy day. Super easy, and the dumpling making process can be done as a family. So it's a fun little family thing. So we're just gonna take some flour, dust our surface, take our pierogi dough, slap it down in the middle there, form it into a disc, make sure it gets floured. We don't want it sticking to anything. We're gonna get a rolling pin, we're gonna start rolling. We wanna roll it into a sheet, and we want it to be about 1/2 inch thick, maybe less, 1/4 inch thick. Keep in mind that the dough will expand when it's in the water. So if you cut it really thin, it's gonna thicken up while it's in the water. So just do your best to kind of make it square, just trim the edges, so not that big of a deal. Every now and then, apply flour and flip it over. All right, now that we've got our dough rolled out, we want to cut it into rounds. You could just cut it into squares, just do squares, but I want to cut it into big rounds, so I've actually got my Boston shaker that I used to make drinks, maybe another episode. Just gonna press down and give it a twist. Press down, little twist. Got some lovely little pierogi pockets, dough scraps, put them back together and roll it out again. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna spoon some filling into each one. Now, you always wanna put a little bit less filling than you think you do, because it's very easy to overfill and then you get a busted pierogi. So what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna put it near the edge so we can pull the pierogi up and over. I've got my ice cream scoop. Just gonna get a nice even scoop and put it on the edge and just do that on down the line. So the last thing we wanna do is we wanna seal it. So get a little thing of water. You're gonna wet the top half of your pierogi and then just pull it up and over and press it down until it seals. And you can use a fork to crimp the edges carefully. Oop, that's a spoon. You can use a fork, and you don't have to do this, to kind of crimp the edges and make sure they're sealed. You want to be careful with the fork because you don't want to pop it. You should get a nice little pocket like that. And you're just going to do that with all the rest of your pierogi. So now we're going to bring a large pot of water to a boil, add some salt, and get ready to drop our pierogis. They'll cook for about 10 minutes. All right, so we're going to butter up a pan. Gonna pull our pierogi out, make sure they are nice and drained. And then we're just going to transfer them into our hot, buttery pan. Pierogis. Again, keep in mind, I make them big because I like them big. These are traditionally served with maybe some sauteed onions, some sour cream. There's a lot of different things you can do. A potato filling is pretty traditional, but again, it's a blank canvas, so you can season it however you want. You could add some vegetables. If you add vegetables, make sure you cook them beforehand or they're gonna leak a bunch of water into your pierogi, and that could cause problems. But you can add whatever you want. These can be vegan, they can have meat in them, but whatever you do, they're going to be delicious. Woohoo. Oh yeah. By grating that onion or chopping it really fine, it gets in every single bite. It's creamy, cheesy, oniony. We got that really nice note of roasted garlic, just kind of as a background note, just kind of just throughout the whole thing. Those are delicious. And man, go Poland. That's all I can say. It's so worth it. Until next time, I'm your boy amateur pro home chef Nathanael Levinson, and this has been My Pierogi.